Welcome to the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, but also not. But I am the host today, Michael Marcanio, and I have my buddy here, Anthony Ravelis, and we are the Average Bros Podcast.
I thought you were about to pledge allegiance right there.
I pledge allegiance to that ass.
That's on a hidden episode reference.
Oh, God. I still need to post that one. Doing this sober is, we've found out, is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, because we actually make somewhat more sense.
Yeah.
And then we don't go off on these like 20-minute Red Dead spirals.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that was a 2-hour episode and an hour of it was Red Dead Redemption.
All right, today we're getting into this a waiver wire episode. We're throwing this out there a little late in the day, but you know what? Go ahead and give us a listen, and we'll definitely be able to help you fix yourself.
Yeah, maybe you work a 9 to 5 and you're off at 5, and it'll be out there by 5:35.
Exactly.
I just gave you a deadline, Mike. So.
it will be out there.
Should we recap that Monday night game fast?
Yeah, let's do that first.
Over 100 points, right?
Yeah, insane.
It was 110 points total.
I was telling a girl about it, and she was like, "Okay." I was like, "Yo, that's like the most points ever. Like that's crazy." And she was like, "Yeah, okay." No, like, all right, fuck.
And she's like, "Cool story, Hansel." You're like, "All right."
You're like, yeah, it was. But anyways, what a crazy game. It was just like neither one of them. It's crazy to think like Rams defense is so good, but then they still giving up that many points.
Well, so I think part of it with both those teams is their defense would be like.
Well, their defense was getting touchdowns too.
Yeah, I think their defenses would be average, but their offenses are so prolific that other teams score because they're scoring at such a fast rate to where it's like, oh shit, we got to score.
More chances.
Yeah,
almost. Yeah. Everybody look. Note to touch on there is Josh Reynolds.
Yep, he'll be a feature later in the episode. Also, Gurley. So if you had Todd Gurley, you were kind of a little disappointed. So he was dealing with some kind of ankle issue, is what the reports are saying. So they have a bye this week. So coming out of the bye, he should be good. It was just, ankle issue. They wanted to limit him. I mean, if you have Gurley, you're playing for a Super Bowl in the long run. You don't want to rush him out there and hurt his ankle and have no Gurley going forward.
Well, especially with if they lose to the Chiefs, it's like, okay, Chiefs is probably a big team. They don't want to push it with him, especially going into the bye week, the next week.
Yeah. And it's an out-of-conference game, too. It'd be different if they were playing maybe like the Saints again or this week, or, maybe they're playing who else has got a high record in the NFC? But someone in the NFC where they were competing for a bye with. Might have been different in that case, but yep.
Yeah.
Also, O.J. Howard has been put on IR, so if you have O.J. Howard, sorry, guys.
Yep, for real. Anything else you want to know in that game? It was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of action. I actually fell asleep mid-game. I was tired.
Yeah.
But a couple other small notes too is keep an eye on your injury reports because there's just three or four Thursday games, right?
Yeah, there's 3.
There's 3 of them. So Trubisky could be out this week. Kerryon Johnson figures to be out this week. There's some injuries that there's going to be some starters that might not be playing on Thursday. So make sure you're checking the injury report
for sure. Yeah, it's important. Yeah, check it early.
Muy importante. We're going bilingual here.
All right, what do you want to start out on this waivers?
We can start with them QBs.
All right, let's start with them QBs.
So
called. I figured you're probably going to talk about.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm going to talk about obviously Jameis first.
Yeah.
That was kind of my one worry. Where I started Fitzpatrick in a league or two, and I was like, God, if he just starts blowing D, I have a feeling they're going to pull him for Winston, and yeah, they pulled him for Winston, and if you combine the two in the day, they actually had a nice day combined. I have the stats right here. I think you were looking at about 300 and let's see how fast I can add. 366 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So the couple touchdowns there, a big yardage game. The two of them basically combined for the quarterback 2 on the year. So you're getting, whether it's Ryan Fitzpatrick or whether you're Jameis Winston, you have a top 5 quarterback option.
Yeah.
So I think Jameis will have a 1-game leash at least. I don't see them putting him out there for a half again, and if he goes wrong, benching him again. I think they had to give Fitzpatrick that chance just because he was Fitzmagic to start the year.
Yeah, right.
And then, he had that bad game at Chicago. Jameis was up and down. He had another big game, but I think Jameis is going to have a little bit of a leash because he isn't a contract year. They need to figure out if they're going to tag him, pay the man. So I think you're going to see a window with Jameis, and that defense can't stop anybody. And like I just touched on, top 5 quarterback. I mean, whoever's starting, you basically have a top 10 option.
Yeah, if you got a guy like Matt Stafford or something like that, I'd be willing to pull the trigger on Jameis.
Yeah, or maybe you have Trubisky and he's not going to play this week. You know, you pick up Jameis and play him
for
this
sure.
week. So there's some options. Second quarterback I want to touch on is Lamar Jackson.
What did he finish with?
He had 27 rushes for 122 yards, I believe.
So, I knew he rushed for over 100, but I didn't know what his like fantasy.
His points were okay. I believe they were 15 and a half point. Well, I guess it doesn't matter PPR, not PPR for quarterback. But who knows? He might even be catching some balls on some trick plays. So who knows? The one thing I don't like. Oh, here comes the Gurley. He wants to get on the episode and complain about Gurley for 20 minutes. His ankle was hurt, by the way. Yeah. All right, so back to Lamar Jackson. The passing numbers are discouraging. Yeah, you like to see 27 rushes from a quarterback, but if those passing numbers are going to come up, I think he's going to have to rush a touchdown in or two to, be kind of reliable in that sense.
Yeah. I don't like it.
I mean, I think he's a pick up and see type of player. It was his first start. Maybe they gear the offense more towards him. Think about it. They've had Flacco as the offense, signal caller. So you're not running a lot of these play actions. These what do they call the read option plays, ROPs. So you're not running a lot of read options with Flacco as a quarterback. So maybe going forward, if he gets the job, maybe they'll open it up a little bit. So I think he's a speculative add to where maybe he could be a streamer or boom bust type of quarterback. But it's late in the season, so if I'm in the playoffs, I'm not trusting him.
Yeah, right. That's why I'm avoiding him. I'd rather not.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
If anything, like hide him away from other teams.
Or if you're in like a high score type of league, or like if you're in like whoever gets the high score gets $50 this week, and you're kind of out of it, you could just kind of say, "Fuck it, I'm gonna start Lamar Jackson, and maybe he rushes for 150 and 2 in this game."
They should let you put him in like your flex spot.
He's basically a running back.
Yeah, insane. Dude, what if we just drafted a running back as a quarterback? They should do that. But anyways.
I think that was kind of Terrell Pryor in a sense.
Yeah.
He was like a receiver, but he was basically a quarterback.
For real.
And the next quarterback we could touch on right here is Baker Mayfield. When they they finally fired I can't even remember his name, Hugh Jackson. Mm-hmm. They finally fired him, and since then he's actually been playing a little bit better.
Yeah.
So he's someone where they're coming off a bye week. Maybe he's there. Grab him. I mean, this offense is starting to move in a positive direction. They had a bye week. They had a new coordinator. So, maybe we start seeing some bigger things from Baker Mayfield. So he's kind of a quarterback where, I'm adding him and maybe just holding him to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Baker seems... I've thrown him in on a couple, on bye weeks and stuff, and he didn't kill my week.
Since Mr. Freddie Kitchens has came in, he's got 5 touchdowns and 1 interception, and his completion percentage in those 2 games is 74.2. So, I mean, 2 weeks with a bye, it's just some positives, basically. Some positives with the bakes.
Especially if I mean, I guess no one really had Alex Smith, but his leg broke in half.
Unless you're a Redskins fan. That was nasty, though. Oh. Like, we're going to show it in slow motion.
They're like, I love that on Red Zone. He's like, oh, geez, this is just ridiculous. You guys do not want to watch this. We're going to go ahead and play this in slow motion. Yeah, check this out, but do not look at this. This is if you cannot handle it, okay, we're going to play it one more time. It's like,
we're going to zoom in real quick, guys.
Do you want
watch the bone snap out.
He's like, see, he fractured the tibia, or like he's just explaining every bone that he fucking broke.
They're like showing his face as he's like, like, look away. And they're like, yo, what the hell's going on here?
For real. Yeah.
All right. We can get a little back on track.
Yeah.
I mean, quarterback wise, do you got anyone you're kind of thinking of? I feel like it's a time of year where we're getting pretty thin at this point. You're going to kind of need an injury to pop up to have someone relevant. I
think Jameis Winston's probably the biggest one.
Yeah. I mean, if you can keep that job for down the stretch, like I said, I mean, their combination of points, I know it's a little skewed because they've been half a player here, but when they get the full games in, you're getting a good game out of one of them. So, number 2 quarterback with points combined between the two. So, I mean, even if he's a top 8 quarterback the rest of the way, that's still a pretty good option.
I like it.
Yeah.
When do you want to talk about running backs?
Let's talk about some running backs.
Yeah, I'm talking about that running back.
Those are the people that get the ball and they run it.
They get the ball and they go, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Run it.
All right. I think the number 1 and 2 is a kind of a toss-up between me. It would be Josh Adams or Gus Edwards. Those are kind of my first two picks at the running back position. Josh Adams, nice game last week on limited touches. He's someone I've liked. I've mentioned like in us talking and passing. I think I even said in one of the episodes that he has like late season potential to be, one of those Kenyon Drakes, Deion Lewis's. Like I'm just dating back to last year. Even Alex Collins. Like there's guys that come out of nowhere, and they kind of help you. They low key help teams win title championships because you pick up a flex play that all of a sudden ends up getting you maybe 17 points, 21 points, and this is names that people are kind of sleeping on, or someone has an injury somewhere. So Josh Adams, 55% of the snaps last week, 70% of Philadelphia's carries, and he led the backfield with 6 targets. So those are some encouraging signs right there. They got shellacked. Right. So I think if they're going to be in more competitive game scripts, you're going to see him getting more in the realm of 10 to 15 carries on the ground. But those 6 targets are really encouraging. Yeah. To have 6 targets in the backfield, and he led the running backs in receptions. I think there's some pretty good high upside here. Yeah,
I think he's probably going to fill in what we thought could have been the Corey Clement or Wendell Smallwood role. Yeah,
he's at 6.1 yards per carry. He's being effective versus you got Corey Clement at 3.9 and Wendell Smallwood at 4.1. They just haven't done much. And if the Eagles want to get any shot at, making a wild card, they need to really get things going, and they can't mess around with these guys kind of, just being a subpar back. And he's showing the talent, he's showing explosiveness. So I think there's a chance he's a, RB2 the rest of the way.
Would you? Okay, sure. Okay, then I was going to compare, but we'll talk about the other guys first.
You can compare.
No, I was going to say, who would you rather put in a waiver for, Gus Edwards or Josh Adams?
It's a tough one. It's like I said, I'll get into him.
That's what.
I like the schedule going forward for Gus, so I will just tie into him too. So it's the thing with Gus is this not a deja vu, but a mirage thing? Is this just a 1 week thing?
Right.
And Harbaugh's going to get back to Alex Collins or Ty Montgomery.
See, that's where I don't like.
That's the scare. But at the same time, the touch and snap percentage last week was nice to see. And the Ravens, if they have Lamar Jackson out there doing his little read options and running the ball, it's going to make the lanes easier for because he's such a threat on the ground. Whoever's running the ball is going to have an easier time not getting, defenders closing down on him. They have to wait to make sure he's not, handing the ball off. So 62% of the snaps last week, he outcarried Alex Collins 17-7. No running back had a target because Lamar Jackson didn't really throw it. So that's another thing is I don't know if he's going to have
the whole first quarter without throwing the ball. I think.
Yeah, he had 15 runs in the first quarter.
Yeah, it was crazy. Okay, but yeah, no, it was he did a whole drive and he didn't throw the ball once.
And they scored on that drive too.
Yeah,
it was legit because we were watching the red zone and it was like Lamar Jackson handoff run, Lamar Jackson run, Lamar Jackson.
It's crazy.
I think the defense kind of got the hang of it after a little bit. They were like, all right, he's not even gonna throw it, so fuck it. We're just gonna line up for the run. Yeah, but Gus Edwards, the carry is 17-7. They, we were discussing this earlier. I kind of feel like, for some reason, they just don't like Alex Collins. They try and find an excuse to get rid of him. But I feel like he's been their best running back for the last year and a half, to where they're like, well, shit. I guess we have to play him because everyone else is worthless.
So weird, and then they do these weird trades, and then they're not. I don't know. They picked up Ty Montgomery, right?
Yeah, they traded for Ty Montgomery, and
then they used Gus Edwards. It's that's another reason why I'm like, what the fuck? What? It's very big. It seems like a very big question mark. It could have been like 1 week. Maybe him and Lamar or practice well together or something.
That could be an option too. They might run that read option together really well.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
Yeah,
not just a scientist.
Yo, dude, I come in with the facts, baby.
Hit him with the facts. But I think Josh Adams I think they both actually have a pretty good ceiling. If I could get both of them, I'd probably actually pick up both of them. If you're in any kind of bidding system, waiver wire, you're going to be able to get maybe one. If you're in a what is it, waiver wire? If you're 1, 2, 3, that system. He has a nice schedule going forward. Oakland, Atlanta, Kansas City, Tampa Bay. If he is the true one here getting carries, he could have a lot of upside right here. So I think Josh Adams is the safer, you're going to get weekly for sure guarantee. But I think Gus could, with the schedule, maybe offer some high upside too. Right. So it's if he was a guarantee, hey, he's our starter going forward, I would probably have Gus as my one.
Sure.
But there's not that guarantee in there, so it's kind of making me lean towards Josh Adams. And we didn't get to see the pass catching ability because Lamar didn't throw to anybody.
Yeah.
the running game. So we don't know how that's going to work yet.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to.
Yeah, I don't.
I watched his pro day. His dude, he is not very accurate.
No, he's not accurate.
Like your pro day, you're supposed to dude. You got like all your people that you've played with. Like you have like all the ability to look your best.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker was throwing the ball left, like just out everywhere besides the receivers. Like, dude, it was insane.
He's hitting the coaches on the sideline.
I was like, dude, that's your pro. Like what?
Yeah, it's gonna be a.
So.
I think he could have some some fantasy value, like maybe like a Tim Tebow where he's just rushing so much, and so it's like just based off of rushing, he's getting you points. So I mean, there's that, but yeah, like you said, I don't see him being smart with the ball, dumping it off, unless the coaching schemes that we're like, hey, throw a goddamn screen to the running back.
All right,
right
this
here.
week, dude, we're not going to throw the ball at all, and next week, throw the fucking ball.
He's gonna be like the Andrew Luck to where I'm like, there's no way he's gonna throw the ball 6 times. There's no way he's gonna run the ball 30 times a game. He's like, hold my beer. Next week, 40 rush attempts, 220 yards.
That'd be insane.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Andrew.
How about other running backs?
Yeah, there's some other running backs of note. I think those are the two where you got to go after these guys.
Yeah.
If you have the number one waiver priority, like it's week 12, what are you saving it for at this point?
Yeah.
These are potential difference makers. Like, don't hold it hoping that Todd Gurley gets hurt and you get Malcolm Brown, or Kareem Hunt, you can get Spencer Ware. Like, these are guys where you're burning a waiver wire because they could potentially be, like I said, league winning type of flex plays.
For sure.
Speaking of like Spencer Ware and Malcolm Brown, it's week 12. If you got a spot and you have Gurley or you have Zeke or you have Kareem Hunt, like, get rid of someone on your bench that you're never going to play and grab your handcuff.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want is like Kareem Hunt to get hurt, someone else gets Spencer Ware, and now you're sitting here with a hole at the running back position.
Yeah. That's a very good point. You got to pay attention to that. Yeah, there's only there's 2 weeks and then we're in playoffs.
Yeah.
Some people are in playoffs already.
Yeah. I mean, if you have extra spots too, like
next week.
You might have a good roster, but you might have 3 crappy bench spots. I mean, you could even grab cuffs for other players. You could even grab Rod Smith and Spencer Ware and shit, maybe even grab Malcolm Brown. So if someone loses that, you gain. So, I mean, but if you have just an average wide receiver 4, running back 4 you're not going to use, and, fucking burn the spot. Or defense stashes. This is where I like to stash defenses at this point. But we can get into that later. So 2 running backs. 2 more running backs I'd like to touch on is Theo Riddick.
Yeah.
Kerryon Johnson, one of my man crush running backs. He's going to be out for a few weeks with a knee injury. I mean, you never know, though, because sometimes running backs like Matt Breida come out of nowhere from dead to play. So there's always that. But it's likely he's out this week. He just got hurt Sunday, and they're playing on a Thursday, so I don't see him playing this week. With Theo Riddick, though, the last 3 weeks since they've shipped off Golden Tate, 18 receptions, nice PPR floor. I don't think someone's going to go out and get you 25 points, but, I mean, if he takes one of these receptions for a touchdown, and he's getting 5 catches, maybe he gets a few more carries in there. He could have you a relatively nice game, and the floor is there, which I like.
Yeah, I'm not. Would you? Yeah, I would go Gus Edwards over Theo Riddick.
Yeah, those two are, like I said, they're kind of 1A, 1B. These next guys we started getting into, these are more
like rentals almost.
Yeah, rentals in a sense. LeGarrette Blount hasn't been doing much. Zach Zenner's a name to keep an eye on. If Kerryon Johnson's out for 3-4 weeks, maybe speculative add Zach Zenner. Because, reports I was reading is that LeGarrette Blount hasn't do much, and we feel confident with Zenner taking Blount's role, Kerryon Johnson's role.
Right.
So that's a name I just twitched. That's a name to keep an eye on if you're on the YouTube. Just had a Tourette's twitch. I don't actually have Tourette's, but so next kind of running back, same kind of type of mold I want to touch on is Jalen Richard. He's been drawing praise from John Gruden. He's said that basically he sees him as a 1,000-yard running back, rusher, 1,000-yard receiver, which he's not David Johnson, so chill, John Gruden. Yeah. But I'm saying the praise is there.
Everybody says that about their running backs. They say that. What do the Jets say about Elijah McGuire?
Yeah, he's the next LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah, it's like, okay, dude.
Okay, bro. Chill.
For real.
Chill out.
Chill.
But 11 carries this week. That's nice to see. Gruden did say he's like our team MVP, so there's obviously good things going on there with him, is what I'm trying to get at. Gruden's obviously like, hyping him up and stuff, and he's not going to be this 1,000-yard receiver, 1,000-yard rusher. But when your coach is speaking good things about you, it's at least saying you're doing things right.
Yeah, and he feels confident using you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But
what is his own percentage? I feel like he's pretty high owned. No?
He's I think it's 49%.
Oh, that's
it's not too high. 44% in Yahoo leagues.
That's pretty good.
So you're looking at about a 50%. If you're in a PPR, I mean, since week 5, the lowest points he's put in a PPR is 8.9. In a half point, his lowest points is 6.9. He's pretty much double-digit points every week in a PPR format. And it was nice to see him get 11 carries last week. Doug Martin has an ankle injury, so maybe we see more 10, 11 carry games. And if he's going to keep getting those receptions, I mean, nice, safe play. Kind of Theo Riddick. Like, you're not going to get a bust week. Like, I picked him up for my dad because he had no running back and started him against me. And I was like, look, he's going to get you 10 points. And I was like, he didn't have a running back because he had James White in a bye and someone else out. And he was, 10 points. So
we're just out here helping our dads win fantasy.
Because dads are tight.
Hey, yeah, dads are tight. Dude, stuff dad. Okay, chill. Also, dude, my dad's in second place in his league, and he's 4-6-1.
What is the way he's
because the tie and like the way he's beat people, like certain people in his league. It's a weird league, but yeah, like they don't do decimals, so it's just like there's a lot of ties. Yeah, and so he's in second place and he's 4-6-1. It doesn't make any sense. There's guys with better records than him that are lower, like ranked. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah,
fantasy can be weird sometimes.
Well,
so don't give up. Your boy out here 4-6-1 in second place.
There's a league we play in the FFPC. Shout out if you guys want to sponsor us too. I've actually sent a couple people your way.
Shout out to microphones.
So the way it works is what I kind of like this scoring system too. It's just different, but it's so the first place, if you win first place record or points, it doesn't matter. If you're first place, you get your first place. But after that, it comes down to points scored. So maybe there's a team that's 7-3. There's a team that's 5-5, but the team that's 5-5 technically is second because they've scored way more points.
Damn, really?
So yeah, so it was me and Tyler playing this one together. We co-own that team, so
it's nice. Yeah, that I'm the second highest scorer. I'm in like 7th place in one of my leagues.
Yeah,
it's irritating.
I think it's for fantasy players, myself included. Like, I'm not. No one's perfect. No one's the best. But a lot of times, I feel like I'm at least in the top half of scoring, if not top quarter. And it's frustrating when you're, one of the top scorers and you're either out of the playoffs already or you're fighting for position, and then you see teams that you've scored 200 more points than and they're in the playoff contention. It's like I'm kind of trying to I want to get into more systems to where it's like, okay, you're scoring a lot of points, but you're having bad matchups.
If you're paying attention and actually putting in your lineups every week, the correct way, you should get rewarded for that.
Yeah, and you're not just getting lucky and playing teams putting up 80 points every week or something like that, and you're winning 95-80 every week.
Yeah, right.
So, but that was a little off subject, but yeah, Jay Rashard, nice pickup. Who we touched on, a deep ad, sexy Rexy Rex Burkhead, supposed to come back in week 13. If you got an extra bench spot, Sonny Michel hasn't been the healthiest running back
I
since.
think I still have Rex Burkhead on my IR spot.
I was like, I think you can grab him and put him on your IR if he's there too as well. I was literally about to say that. Nice point, Mike.
Dude, IR, bro. I'm on that, dude.
But I mean, you never know. That's a good offense. Deion Lewis had a really good stretch last year down the road. Like I said, Sonny Michel has not been the healthiest running back so far. So if an injury were to pop up, Rex Burkhead could be, maybe a playoff. This is just a deep ad. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
if you have spots to burn. Elijah McGuire, another deep ad to kind of look at. He's actually had some value, been PPR productive.
Yeah.
And then Deontay Foreman is kind of just another deep ad if you want to see what happens there.
I like those deep ads.
Deep.
Can't forget about the deep ads.
Extends.
Everybody wants these quick little ads. It's like, no, dude, you gotta get those deep ads. You know what I'm saying, dude?
I mean, you just got to be ahead of the curve a little bit. Like Josh Adams is someone where, I've kind of talked about. I picked him up in 2 leagues, and I was like, all right, he might not be shit, but there's a chance that maybe he takes this role and kind of takes over.
Yeah, you want to be the guy in your fantasy league that's frustrating all the other guys.
They're like, why the fuck?
How did he fucking know? With Calvin Ridley before the season started, I drafted him. He's like, oh, dude, I went to go pick him up and you had him. I was like, yeah, dude, I drafted him. He's like, what? You drafted him? I was like, yeah, bro. Because I fucking pay attention, bitch.
Yeah. Geronimo Allison was probably a guy for me. I had him in every league, and people were probably like, who the fuck drafts Geronimo Allison, bro? I didn't even know who that guy was.
Yeah, for sure.
I had someone make fun of me, in one of the drafts. I took Geronimo Allison, and they're like, who's that?
Bro, you're retarded. 0 fantasy points last year. Yeah.
Yeah. And then one of the guys is like, he's a Packers fan. He's like, bro, that guy's going to be a stud. So they're like, just watch. He started, got hurt, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to be a week ahead sometimes.
It's just fun. It's like it's just funny when people go to look up stuff and then you have them on your team. Like, how frustrating is it when you're like, oh, dude, I'm gonna pick this up. God damn it, someone has them. Like, it's so frustrating, and you want to be able to do that to other people.
Yeah, and it's a good.
You want to be
feeling.
the menace.
Really,
You
like,
know what I mean?
like it's like a week. They're like who's this guy? Like, it's just he's a nobody. Like if you would added Josh Reynolds this week, would say like you're being ahead of the curve.
Yeah, see, I didn't, and that's a prime example.
Now everyone's gonna be like, oh, Josh Reynolds, and it's like, I got him, suckers. You don't have to waste no money, no waiver wire, fat stuff. You get ready ahead of the curve.
If you can bid for $3 and can have already him on your team, you're set.
It'd be nice.
You want to? Speaking of wide receivers, you want to hop on over and talk about receivers?
Yeah, we can hop on over to the wide receiver position. Do you have anything on running backs you liked or want to say?
No.
no. Frank Gore, maybe actually one more name if you're in deeper leagues and you just need a volume type of play.
Sure.
Coming off a bye. So the wide receivers. Let's start with Unquan.
Yeah.
Or Dosquan?
Nope. He's not Unoquan. He's not Dosquan. He's Traquan. Traquan Smith, man. He looked good.
Yeah, he finally had that blow up game we've been waiting for. I'm gonna pull up, do you know his exact numbers in the day?
I don't. But he good. He caught the ball good.
13 targets on the day, which was encouraging. Let's see if I can pull up the numbers right here. 10 receptions for 157 and a touchdown. So, we've mentioned him a few times as someone to keep an eye on, and he had that game. Going forward, though, I like him as an ad, but Michael Thomas isn't going to see 4 targets every week. And he saw 4 targets last week. I think Traquan's going to be playable, but I think you're going to be playing him in matchups to where, okay, either Michael Thomas is facing an elite type of corner or this tends to be a shootout. Right. Games to where it could be more of a marking Alvin Kamara, a ground game. I think he's going to be boom bust down the stretch is basically what I'm getting at.
Right.
But, you might have you find the right matchup going forward and, they play Atlanta this Thursday. It's Thursday, I think, right? I believe they're the Thursday game, but this might be another matchup for Traquan Smith. There's some upside there. So,
yeah.
I think he's an ad for sure. Like I said, he's someone you want to. I'd rather have him on my bench than someone start him against me in a blow up game, and then he goes for another 120 and a touchdown. So, especially tied to Drew Brees, who's playing out of his mind.
I would say him and then Josh Reynolds are probably the top 2 for me.
Yeah, I like Josh. He's in my. I kind of have like a top 3 this week actually. So it'd be Traquan Smith, DJ Moore, Josh Reynolds.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Would be my 3. DJ Moore is becoming interesting. He was the first round pick. I think he was the first receiver taken this year, right? I believe.
Yeah.
But he's a rookie receiver. Rookie receivers they take a little bit longer to develop. It's learning the playbook. It's learning timing routes.
It happens with everybody.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, fucking.
Yeah, most rookie receivers just don't come out and have 1,200 yards or 1,000-yard seasons. I think we had the one year where it was like Julio Jones, Mike Evans, and maybe was it Odell that year too? Where they just all had like these massive years, and it kind of like, it used to be, okay, your receivers, you give them a year or 2 years, by year 2, 3, they're breaking out. You had those guys break out. You kind of had Amari Cooper had a good rookie season the next year too. And I think, our perceptions got, okay, these rookie receivers
skewed.
Yeah, they're skewed. It's going to be they come in and make a name for themselves right away. But over the last 4 weeks, he's had 21 targets, the same as Devin Funchess. I think he's more talented than Devin Funchess. So, high draft pick, high capital invested in him. The big play upside is what I like. If he can take that true number 1 wide receiver role and make some big plays like he has been, I think there's some potential late season upside with DJ Moore.
Yeah, I like it. He did. What did he finish with?
He had. I'll pull him up right now.
I can pull it up too. But
pull him up.
Yeah, I agree.
And he actually has a pretty good schedule going forward too. So let's see. DJ Moore last week, he was 7 for 157 and a touchdown.
Yeah, that's
and they
awesome.
give him like end arounds and stuff like that too. So they give him random rushes to try and break some extra plays occasionally. So yeah, DJ Moore, and he's got Seattle, which is an okay matchup. But the next 4 games after that, you're looking at Tampa Bay. They can't stop nobody. The Giants just scored 37 points. The Giants score like 10 points a game. Cleveland, New Orleans, Atlanta. So there's some good matchups in there for him to potentially do some damage.
Oh yeah, DJ Moore.
DJ
Moore. Winning your fantasy team.
All right, so next we'll touch on Josh Reynolds. Like I said, these guys are all 3 of these guys are kind of in a tier for me. he's potentially taking over that Cooper Kupp role. That's kind of what it comes down to. 3 scores in his last 2 starts without Cooper Kupp. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if he's going to play that role and play it to 80% of what Cooper Kupp was a top 10 receiver. I mean, even if he plays it at 80% of what Cooper Kupp was, he could still be, a top 24, top 30 option.
Yeah, because Cooper Kupp was like up there when he was healthy.
Yeah, he was out there.
He was up there and out there, dude.
Up and out.
Up and out. I'll tell you what. He really grinds my gears, you know what I'm saying?
I like it. So some other receivers you can kind of keep an eye on or pick up possibly. I think you can go out and get those 3, and you could possibly be playing them going forward. Anthony Miller, the targets haven't been super high, but he scored in 5 of the last 8 games. So, I mean, if you're in a standard type of league, I think he's a decent ad. He's showing touchdown upside. Christian Kirk, not the highest target totals, but he's been making some big plays. It's not an elite offense, but, in the right type of matchups, he's someone like a Traquan where find the right matchup and you can kind of roll the dice in those types of games with him. And then Mr. Adam Humphries. He's had at least 5 receptions or 50 yards in 6 of the last 7 games. He's kind of low-key like a good PPR receiver. So if you're just in a pinch, like, you might have, maybe you have some Rams players, some KC players this week, and you're in a pinch and need a wide receiver and you want safety. I mean, he's been pretty safe in PPR.
I like it.
I like it. And then Cortland Sutton, check on him and make sure he's I've seen him drop. I know he's pretty high owned, but he's someone I've seen dropped in a few leagues.
Yeah.
And his schedule gets nice going forward.
What do you got? What does he have?
Let's see here. Write it down.
Ready? I'll tell you.
Ooh, Mike, do your work.
Ooh, yes. Cortland Sutton plays Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, but then then he got San Francisco and Cleveland, then Oakland.
So there's some nice matchups in there. San Francisco's a nice matchup. Oakland, a real nice matchup. Who was the other 2 we said?
Cleveland. Oh wait, did you say that?
Cleveland's in there. That's a decent matchup.
This week he might do pretty well. Pittsburgh's secondary, it's like been getting better, but could be sneaky.
Pittsburgh could also score a good amount of points, which could force him to throw too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I like it.
And then I guess Chris Conley becomes a little interesting if Sammy Watkins is out, but more of like a pickup. And I think Watkins is going to need to be out for an extended period of time, but. If you want to grab him and maybe news comes out that Watkins out for 3 weeks.
I mean, Pat Mahomes was given a touchdown to I think he threw it to almost like every receiver.
He's like, you get a touchdown.
Like, you get a
touchdown. You get a touchdown.
For real though, Kelsey Hill, Kareem Hunt, like Conley. I think even Maurice. No, I don't think he got one.
I think he was telling Jamal Charles to come back and he would get him a touchdown. He's like, you get a touchdown.
Yeah, for real.
So he was just giving them out like candy.
So I mean, it's possible, He's gonna throw those touchdowns around. You might as well capitalize on it, baby.
Sometimes if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Made 0 sense, but yes.
Any other receivers you want to touch on, Mary?
I think I've pretty much touched on everyone. You got anyone?
No. I really like Josh. Obviously, these are like obvious ones,
Yeah.
I don't have like these deep guys like you do, but Josh Reynolds, Traquan Smith, guys like that. I think you definitely have to put that waiver claim in for him.
Yeah, and Josh Reynolds, he might actually be able to sneak through for cheaper because they're on a bye. So people might not be like, I don't want to. He's on a bye. It's week 12, but I'm in a pinch in receiver in one league because I've had injuries, and I'm going to grab him and hold on to him through the bye because if I see a lot of stuff I like again in week 13, I'll feel comfortable with him in week 14 just because it's an offense that you can trust. You can trust that offense.
You can trust that offense. Any tight ends?
Cameron Braid. Cameron Braid.
So stupid.
That was pretty bad.
No.
Hey, sometimes you what is the saying?
Hey, bro, you swing and you miss, dog.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, there you go. See, I like that one better than just what you just said.
Yeah.
100%. Cameron Braid. Look at that.
Yeah, so if you kind of were like not paying attention in the first 5 minutes of the episode, we mentioned that OJ Howard was hurt for the year, done for the year. So it's kind of been a committee with them too. Yeah, it sucks. He was kind of having a low key breakout year. I think he was a top 5 tight end, right? Yeah,
he was putting numbers up, and a lot of people were able to pick him up because he was a little bit injured in the beginning.
Yeah, he was probably actually one of the better. When we talked about waiver wire ads a couple episodes ago, he was probably low key one of the better waiver wire ads because tight end's so ugly, and you were getting some pretty good production out of OJ Howard.
Right.
So, it sucks if you're an OJ Howard. He's done for the year, but
Good news. Jameis Winston loves Cameron Brate.
Yeah.
And there you go.
They're bromigos.
Yeah. Do you think they're like Eskimo brothers, maybe?
I think there's a chance.
Yeah, it could happen. I don't know.
It could happen.
Probably.
I mean, they make enough money.
Yeah.
Wouldn't doubt it. I was like, no, I want the Winston and Brate connection in my midsection.
That's the kind of... Okay, chill. But
We don't edit shit. That's staying in there.
Cameron Brate, definitely, though. Definitely, if you're in a tight end pinch, go for it.
Yeah, I think you're going to see him on the field for a high percentage of snaps. And all jokes aside, he was a top 8, I think even top 6 option when he was, when OJ Howard was still a rookie and the year before. So there's really high touchdown upside there with Cameron Brate. He's had multiple touchdown games. Like I'm saying, multiple like 2 touchdown type of games with Jameis Winston in the past. So, probably the only really tight end I'm considering at this point. It's the rest of them to me are just streamers, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. No other tight ends?
You got a tight end.
Sure do.
You got a tight end. No, you got a tight end.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you lose OJ Howard and then you grabbing the same tight end, same team. Well, not same tight end, different tight end, same team. Pretty much the same guy, though.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Except one's an Eskimo buddy, one's not.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and then maybe some defenses to take a look at. The Cowboys, they get the Redskins, and they have, no Alex Smith anymore, so could be a potential pretty good defense this week. The Colts, they get to play Miami, and we don't know who's going to even be the quarterback this week. So, the Bills have actually low-key been a pretty good defense this year, and they get Jacksonville. So these are just some streaming options, potential defensive pickups. Matt Bryant, I picked him up and started him against myself for my dad.
Oh, God.
And he's been on a lot of waiver wires, actually, in a lot of
Matt
leagues.
Bryant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had like 16 points last week.
We're not talking about Matt Ryan. We're talking about on the same team, the kicking guy.
Did he outscore Matt Ryan?
No. Yeah.
Did he?
I think he did, actually. Well, in one league, he had
Matt Ryan didn't have that good
points.
of a game.
I think he actually did.
Look it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
I think he did. Yeah, I ended up starting Jake Elliott.
Matt Ryan had 13 points. And then I'm pretty sure Matt Bryant finished with like 17.
He had like 16 or 17. He was high.
Yeah, he had 17. So he's outscoring quarterback by.
So check if he's there. I started Jake Elliott for 1 point over Matt Bryant.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, yeah. Dagger to that
who did you say for defenses?
It's a couple of teams I mentioned were the Bills, Cowboys, Colts. I think the Patriots are playing the Jets this week. That's another good ad.
If the Redskins are still there, man, pick them up.
Yeah, they have a juicy playoff schedule.
Pick them up.
I mean, who knows? Colt McCoy could actually end up maybe being better for the offense than Mr. Alex Smith was, because he looked like the old Alex Smith at this point. Colt McCoy went out there a little bit.
Oh, yeah, right.
He was showing some rushing potential. He brought Jordan Reed back to life.
I think they're still in playoff contention, too.
Yeah, because they were 6-3 going into the week, so they're 6-4. I mean, maybe this is the breakout for we wanted for Jordan Reed with Colt McCoy in there.
Yeah,
because Alex Smith was just like
it was like, oh, Jordan Reed, Vernon Davis, like he just.
He was like, hey, everybody go deep, running back.
You get a shovel pass. You get a shovel pass.
You get a shovel pass. 20 yards deep.
But yeah, I think now is a good time to look at defenses for the playoffs. Yeah, like
I think Tyler touched on some of that, didn't
he? Yeah, I'm sure he did. But just to, if you didn't hear it before, my 2 biggest ones are Broncos and Redskins. I don't think actually he didn't talk about defenses. He told me.
Yeah, Redskins have a nice playoff schedule.
Yeah, Redskins they play the Giants against Eli Manning's pick throwing ass, and then plays the Jaguars against Blake Bortles pick throwing ass, and then the Titans against Mariota.
Maybe Mariota has been on and off with that elbow injury.
Right. But either way.
But he's a pick throwing ass as well.
Yeah. So
you got 3 pick throwing asses in a row.
Yeah. So that you look at stuff like that, it's like you might maybe that you get kind of a dud these next couple weeks, but playoffs is where it matters.
And they've even actually been a pretty good defense against good quarterbacks too as well.
2 weeks ago the Redskins got like -4 points, so it's very high possibility that they're there.
Yeah. Some science right there for you guys.
Yeah.
Goddamn scientists.
So, yeah. I mean, if you're set and do the handcuffs like we said.
Yeah, handcuffs. Defenses. Matt Bryant because he's outscoring Matt Ryan. Trying to think if there's anything else we should touch on waiver wire wise. Always take a look at who's dropped too.
Yeah, check your activity and messages.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised who gets dropped off a bad game. I've seen I know it's a couple weeks back, but I've seen players all the way up to like Marvin Jones. Like I said, Cortland Sutton was dropped in some leagues because he was, he came off a bye week last week. We've mentioned Larry Fitzgerald a few weeks ago was dropped in some leagues.
Yeah.
There's players like that they have bad games that could potentially be dropped. I mean,
Definitely.
Someone might be panicking on like a Golden Tate. Maybe Golden Tate's dropped. I'm just throwing names out there. Like, just always check your activity feed to see who's dropped.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Spot on.
We're wicked smart.
Yo, wicked
We don't even
smart.
need Tyler, bro.
Yeah, dude. Who needs him?
Tyler, you got anything to say?
Tyler, you got anything to say?
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. Yeah.
Nice to have no phone interruptions.
Yeah, it's nice.
We did have a Justin appearance, though.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it wasn't into heavy breathing and Todd Gurley.
Curtain calls. He just threw the curtain back and said, yo, what's up?
Saw, dude.
You guys talking about Todd Gurley yet? Because I love that guy. I love that guy.
He's on my fantasy team.
He probably doesn't. He's on my fantasy team. I love
He won't
that
say
guy.
anything for 25 minutes, and then we'll get to like he has Stephon Diggs, so we'll get into the Vikings matchups. He's on my team. So what do you guys think about Stephon Diggs?
He plays good, I guess,
All right, we can wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. Thank you for listening to the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out. We're mostly active on Instagram. If you need those last minute, who's playing, who's out kind of news, check that out. We're always throwing that stuff out there for you guys, not just for us. All right,
For all of y'all.
for all y'all.
This was episode 64.
I don't know. I think
I'm
it's
just going to miss
episode
every time in the episode.
33. I don't know. But it's week 12. Win yourself some fucking fantasy leagues, guys.
Hey, grab that Josh Adams or like Gus the Bus, and then when you win, be like, you know what, these guys, they're average, but
They're tight.
they sometimes know what they're talking
And
about.
don't keep us a secret, you idiots. I told my buddies, like, yeah, dude, like, you guys give good advice, but, like, I don't want to tell anybody. I'm like, dude, that's fucked up. I'm like, so don't keep us a secret. If you like our stuff, please just tell other people. Look, I have people that I play like in leagues with, and they hear this stuff, and they snake me all the time. All right, so if I'm doing it, you got it too. Okay?
Yeah, we'd actually rather low key like help other people win than ourselves win, but we try and do both. But
yeah.
if we can, we'd rather actually
Just
help
saying,
people.
don't keep us a secret, idiots. God. Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, you, whoever the guy is. I'm talking to you too.
You know who you are.
You know exactly who you are.
Thank you. Good night.
Wee.